let's go look at Souls of Black Folk right now. I've got to clear off my collapsing pile of books. And when you go to our link, here we are, the forethought and the table of contents. And as we're learning about a research paper, your introduction to your paper also wants to provide for the reader this kind of a map, so that where it says forethought, that's going to be your hook where you introduce us to a problem. And you're going to tell us then in that first paragraph some of the steps that you will take that will lead you to that claim of your thesis. So do know that this process of laying a map out for your reader is something that the introductory paragraph of a research paper also does. You're not going to need a table of contents for this research paper, but just know that that is its purpose, is to provide that map so the reader knows, all right, we're going to start in this text, we're going to move through this text, we're looking at the questions of divine and human agency in the governance of human communities, and my kicker is that when I've looked at this, this, and this, I can say this, and it's new, it's fresh, and it's interesting. So the forethought, herein lie buried many things, which if read with patience may show the strange meaning of being black here at the dawning of the 20th century. This meaning is not without interest to you, gentle reader, for the problem of the 20th century is the problem of the color line. I pray you then, receive my little book in all charity, studying my words with me, forgiving mistake and foible, for sake of the faith and passion that is in me, and seeking the grain of truth hidden there. So, who is his audience when he says, bear with me, gentle reader, and that the problem of the color line is of interest to you? It means that he knows he is largely talking to a white audience. His goal is to elevate the human subjectivity of black folk in America to full human religious significance as people with soul, of soul, who are fully human. And so this meaning, the meaning of being black, is not without interest to you, gentle reader. He knows that the gentle reader is most likely not black, but he's saying it is of interest to you, for the problem of the 20th century is the problem of the color line. That is a bold hook to say that I can predict in 1903, when I'm publishing this book, that the problem that will follow our country through the next century is the problem of the color line. That is a bold hook. And to say to a white reader, this is going to impact you, and this problem of the color line will be your problem as well, and your children's problem throughout the next century. So I pray you then, receive my little book. And so the diminutive, right? That he's attempting to speak gently and in a manner that will invite readership. Receive my little book in all charity. I want to get to something here about this little and the use of little, because the other side of asking with humility for the patience of your reader, the other side that he knows he has to fight against is the charge that he would be an uppity nigger, that people would be afraid and fear him and call him that, and he instead is being of ultimate and impeccable manner. I've sought here to sketch in vague, uncertain outline the spiritual world in which 10,000 Americans live and strive. First, in 2 chapters, I have tried to show what emancipation meant to them and what was its aftermath. Think about what it means in 1903 to try. He's trained as a philosopher, he's trained in history, he's trained in economics. He wants to give white America a history of what emancipation meant leading up to, what was the black community's hope for emancipation, and then what have these 20 years since been like? How has it played itself out on the landscape? I'm going to try and do that for you in 2 chapters. And then goes on to what happens deeper along in the essays. They are some of the finest. I would put this collection, The Souls of Black Folk, in a list of the top 20 most important books for the 20th century, hands down. So I recommend you look further should you be interested. But given that he is writing in such a poetic, metaphoric, perhaps you might find it even labored language, let's get through 1 chapter really, really well in 1 week. Before each chapter, as now printed, stands a bar of the sorrow songs, the spirituals, some echo of haunting melody from the only American music which welled up from black souls in the dark past. And finally, and he goes on later to say that this is the first original American music, because all other music in America had largely come from Europe. But of course, now one of the things we know is that the deep, rich cultures of American Indian music was, of course, the first American music. But it's a very interesting point for him to revalue what is the place of the black spiritual, and rather than kind of patting someone on the head and saying, oh, isn't that nice folk stuff you do, instead to call it the first original American music. And finally, need I add that I who speak here am bone of the bone and flesh of the flesh of them that live within the veil. And that is to make sure his readers know that a black author can write with this eloquence, and that he is black, because that question will come to his readers who will largely be ignorant of the fact that a black man could have graduated from Harvard with a PhD, that a black man would have pursued graduate work in Europe. So, and the veil, we're going to see, is one of the key metaphors he develops in chapter 1. All right, so then when we go to of our spiritual strivings, let's see, can I get there from here? Do I have to go back? Table of contents. I got to go back here. Actually, I'm going to leave it right there as history and the lead up to Souls of Black Folk. And enough's enough. It's hard to listen. Thanks for listening. Bye.